Welcome to Antibody TV. I'm here today with Dr. Richard Buick, who is the Chief Technical Officer of Fusion Antibodies. Welcome, Dr. Buick.
Thank you, Tamsin.
So tell us a little bit about Fusion Antibodies.
Well, we're a CRO. We specialize in antibody development, right from discovery through to cell line development for cGMP supply. The company focuses and specializes in antibody engineering, so humanization, optimization of antibody sequences, optimizing developability, that space.
Wonderful. And I see you've recently listed on the London Stock Exchange. What difference has that made to your company?
It's actually had several impacts. Fusion, we were growing quite rapidly before the flotation on the stock exchange, and by floating on the stock market, we gained investment in the company, and that's allowed us to expand the physical capacities within the company, expand the labs, convert some offices into new labs, particularly in protein analytics, cell line development, and affinity maturation. We've also, with the expansion, hired more staff, not just to expand our existing capacities, but staff in new areas such as computational chemists, which we didn't have before. So that's a very exciting area. And with the renovation going on in the building, it's now a really nice working environment. We've got exceptionally well kitted out labs and very, very nice offices, open plan office space as well to work in.
Lovely. So you mentioned an affinity maturation platform, which you're developing. Mm-hmm. How will you compete with companies that already offer affinity maturation?
Yes, that's a new technology which the investment has allowed us to develop. Our platform is completely different to what's already on the market, if you like. It's a rational library design approach. So instead of making random mutations within an antibody sequence, we rationally design a library of variants which have natural somatic hypermutation. So we're exploring the whole somatic hypermutation space with our platform, which we call RAMP, for a rational affinity maturation platform. And by designing a large library of natural sequences, with variation both in the CDRs but also in the frameworks. Sometimes even more variation within the frameworks than within the CDRs. We have a very large library. It can be sometimes over 10 to the 15 variants that's designed in silico. We can then screen that library, not by traditional phage display approaches or ribosome display approaches. We screen that library in silico. So we perform molecular docking of the antibody antigen and pan the library with all the variants within the molecular docking software to identify variants that have both improvements in affinity and also stability. And that allows us to rapidly screen that library of 10 to the 15 down to just around 100 variants. And those are the lead candidates that you would traditionally have achieved by phage display, but we're doing it now within just a couple of days in silico.
So do you have plans to develop this technology further?
We do, yes. The library itself can be applied not just to an existing antibody, but the design process can be applied to germline sequences as well. And by doing that, we'll create a fully human antibody repertoire, which we can then screen for binding to novel targets, to pull out new antibodies for antibody discovery processes. So in that way, we're basically mimicking the human immune response. We'll pull out antibodies from the naive library, apply the RAMP platform tools for affinity maturation to achieve very high affinity natural human antibodies with natural somatic hypermutations in the same way that occurs within your own body.
Thank you so much for telling us about fusion antibodies and your technology. It's been a pleasure to meet you today.
Thank you, Tamsin. It's a pleasure to be here.